heard Alex's story? This is the
yeah.
mic.
Alex helped me out.
This is the mic.
Yeah.
As soon as he said vape shop,
Yeah. This is.
I pieced it together.
Yeah, I'm the guy. I'm the guy. That's how long I've known Alex.
It's a very similar.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, this is the guy.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
So Alex.
And welcome back to the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Hey.
Man, 2 in 1 day.
I know.
Yep.
But according to you, it's we have to talk about how they're like.
Well, this is going to be really crazy because this is 2 weeks ahead.
No.
This is 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, no, I can't.
Anyway, on with our guest,
Yes.
Michael from Laser Engraving 911. How's it going?
Hey.
It's going great. Yeah, it's going really good. I'm just I'm entertained by you guys right now. It's like I'm watching a show.
I mean, yeah.
Well, and you're part of it.
Right.
Right?
It's a train wreck show. Yep. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's something else. Mm-hmm. So I met Michael through the Laser Engraving. Laser Everything. You're fucking me up.
How am I messing you up?
Laser Everything podcast. So he was on an episode, and I'm pretty sure I was just in the comments talking shit, right? I think.
Yeah. You were like, hey, I want to get you on the show.
Yeah. So I think, I think I was talking shit to one of them, and then they said something about the podcast, and then they're like, "Oh, you should be on." And I was like, "Yes, come on."
That was it. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Something like that.
Well, attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than Crazy Laser Dad Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced, tested, and ready to use with your lasers. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for all your customers.
So, what are you waiting for? Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
Speaking of all things laser, check out Houston Acrylic at houstonacrylic.com for reliable laser-tested and laser-approved materials.
Made for makers by makers, Houston Acrylic features over 450 styles of acrylic sheets. With over 50 new arrivals being released this month, Houston Acrylic is committed to bringing new and innovative styles to the laser community. My personal favorite is the matte, anything matte, and I feel it's perfect for everything.
Don't forget to save 10% by using our exclusive coupon code TRBP10 at checkout. Get inspired today and visit HoustonAcrylic.com.
Do it.
Slow down for a minute. We can't mention Laser Everything.
Why?
Without saying,
I know. Rest in peace, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Who passed suddenly.
I know.
R.I.P. Jimmy.
Yeah, this will be like 2 or 3 weeks. Now I can't do the math.
I know.
It'll be 2 or 3 weeks, but I mean that news hit hard. We were just on there. We were on there twice, and on their 2 podcasts, and we were
on
kicking
both
it.
Of them,
yeah. So
you know what sucks is I was like watching some of his earlier videos, and he was really just starting to like, as his videos progressed, he was starting to like find his flow, and like getting better. Each one was getting better, and I was like, dude, that's sick. Like he's getting better, you know. So that's kind of a shame. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. Well, and then did you see the video that Alex made?
I did.
It was
all the outtakes.
Was really great. Yeah, and
that was a good montage.
Him trying to get that line was so crazy. Like I really fucking hate this part.
Been there.
Yeah, and I mean, we did the same thing. We had to read an ad today, and we struggled hardcore at first. So, it's really sad, especially when it's unexpected and sudden like that. It's never like a good thing, I guess, when someone goes, even if it's expected. But so hearts out to them, because I mean, this laser community, as we all know, turns into a family. And as soon as you kind of, you get in there, like, I mean, he was legit part of their family. He was like always there. Yeah.
When I saw the post, and we only, we talked to him twice on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like maybe 2 hours total.
Right.
Since, but even then, I mean, he was a funny guy. And, and all the ripping we did on him and stuff.
Right.
So man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
now we got to lighten the mood a little bit.
So I mean, he's still on the podcast. because he has some backlog. He said Alex said that he's still going to be on
he
the podcast.
He has a couple,
So yeah,
episodes, or not episodes. I think it was like tutorials or something.
Yeah, I think he has a couple of tutorials that he's still going to finish up. Yeah.
So you were talking about how you guys met on Laser Everything.
Yeah. So, me just talking shit in the comments and them saying, he should check it out or be on there. And then I checked out your YouTube just briefly, but tell us a little bit about, well, no, don't go there yet. Don't go there yet. What is your background? Like, how did you get into the laser world?
Yeah. So it's funny. I get asked that all week long from customers when they come over to my shop, say if they're picking up something and they're so curious. Like, how do you even get into doing this?
Right.
And it was a total accident.
I swear, that's pretty common.
total accident. And Alex was actually with me when this happened. So I had a completely different business at one time that had nothing to do with lasers. I actually was in California and I had 3 vape shops. Okay. And I was doing really well. Business was booming. It was it was early before vape shops were vape shops. I want you to imagine a time where people barely knew what an e-cigarette was.
Right.
Okay. Wow. That's when I had my shop. So I was like in the bustle, right? In it. And I was just sitting there and I was like we were getting all these like units from China and they were all laser engraved, but I didn't really know like how they were doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like very fascinated by all the different designs that were laser engraved on all these anodized aluminum e-cigarette mods that were coming in. I said, what if we found out how they're doing it and then we could offer customization of these in one of the stores? I thought it was brilliant. Right. So now we also got to remember that this was 10 years ago. Okay. So there was no $6,000 fiber lasers.
Right.
Okay. There was no $3,000 20-watt fiber lasers. No. They're just
fibers,
I'm talking about fibers because that was my first unit.
Yeah.
So I paid $29,000. But guess what? That unit that I have is still that price today because of where it comes from. So I bought a USA made high quality from Laser Marking Technology Group with an IPG photonic laser source. Like it's top of the line. But I didn't know that. I was just like, I want a laser. Let's laser stuff in the shop for customers, right?
I love how
that's what I was thinking.
See, does this make you feel better? I bought a $4,000 laser and I had no idea what the fuck I was doing or what it was, and he bought a $29,000 laser.
Just to be clear, I'm pretty sure I made payments on that. Like I put a big down payment on it. Like I didn't just drop that. Like I did financing, but anyway.
Yeah.
So the machine came in and now it's in the warehouse of one of my shops. And I'm like, hey, Alex worked for me at this company. And it wasn't, this is not laser engraving yet.
Don't you remember Alex's story? This is the
mic. Alex helped me out.
This is the mic.
Yeah.
As soon as he said vape shop.
Yeah. This is,
I pieced it together.
I'm the guy. I'm the guy. That's how long I've known Alex.
It's a very similar.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, this is the guy.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
So Alex worked with me at the shop and he was doing design stuff for me, computer stuff. Like he's just part of my team.
Yeah.
And as soon as that machine came in and I saw it and we uncrated it and I saw EasyCAD, I was all, Alex. I was like, come back here. Let's learn this machine together. Let's figure out how to operate this thing.
Yeah.
And we did. We just started playing around with it. And I'll kind of wrap this up, but
no, we got an hour.
Okay, all right. So anyway, we started blasting stuff. We started engraving all kinds of metal and just getting used to EasyCAD, making a lot of tech support calls, which is another great thing that came with this machine from LMT was that they're in Michigan. So it's like every time I picked up the phone, it was like, hello, how can I help you? Like awesome customer service.
Yeah.
Right. So they helped us, they team viewered, help us figure stuff out. We got great training. Actually, Alex and I flew out to their facility for a weekend. Nice. I got a plane. We flew out. They trained us at the facility for 2 days. Then we flew back, and that was like brilliant to do that. So then I started marketing it to all my customers because I remember I had this great idea that everybody's going to love this.
Well, and spoiler alert.
Yeah, and we've got signs up. The LED menus in the vape shops are now advertising laser engraving, customize your mod. You know, I mean, we went all out.
Of course, as you should.
And I think it was like an extra $35 to get a logo on or something like that, you know? And people were like, yeah, no.
Yeah, I'm good.
And I'm like, what? They're like, you know what? And here's the tactical error that I made. You ready? When you have a device, a thing that you're selling, whatever it is, and there's constantly new models coming out every 2 months. The new Wham Whizzle, the Binford 5000 is coming out. It's coming out. Why would I spend money to engrave something that I'm just going to upgrade to in 2 months anyway? As soon as you, and I was like, well, that makes sense.
Well, fuck, when you put it that way.
So I got this machine in the warehouse, and Alex and I are just like this, and I'm like, well, I'm not going down that easy. I was like, there has to be other people out there in the world that need what this machine can do, because I still had a lot of faith in that machine. I was like, this machine is bad ass.
Yeah, it doesn't take away that it's cool as shit, but maybe you need to change your application.
So since the stores were kind of running themselves, they all had managers. I was just kind of always at one of the stores floating around. I was like, I'm going to hit the streets. I'm going to go to the CNC shops. I'm going to go to the knife guys. I'm going to go to the gun stores. I'm going to go to the jewelry shops. I'm just going to hit the streets and show them, bring in samples, say, I can do this. Do you have a use for what I can do?
Yeah.
And they were like, yes, we do. And so I just needed to find the right place. And so Sonoma Laser Engraving was born. And I just started, that's my full-time job, Sonoma Laser Engraving.
Nice. And I mean, so that's one technique of selling that is really underrated. That, I mean, so people like me, that wouldn't work well because I have a ton of like anxiety and social anxiety. So walking into a business and being like, hey, do you want my things? Like, it's not. It's
do you
not
like what I can do.
Do you look it? If I happen to have it on me and they see it and ask me, all means. But like, I can't approach them, but he can. And so that's a plan that I have, you know, later when and if we actually need to bring up that side of our business more to kind of, you know, we always have that side to like pad things. You know, if the podcast is slow, if my website is slow, if my course sales are slow, file sales, you know, I have a ton of different pieces, thankfully. But also it's also a detriment as well. But if we need that, you know, that to boost up, that's always something that we're going to fall back on. Like go to that, your local barber shop, or go to like the places you frequent, or the mom and pop like coffee shops that are down the street, or, you know, whatever, your best friend's business, or, you know, that kind of stuff. And just walk in, like you show them a keychain with their logo, and people freaking melt. Like,
oh yeah. I've definitely used that tactic before, for sure. Yeah.
Well,
that's a good
way
tactic.
I can do it is, and I've mentioned this a few times before, but like when we ever have services, like people who come to the house for anything, we had blinds done, and I stole his logo off of Facebook and made him a keychain. And it was just like,
as a
thank you so much. I made you this. And their mind always like explodes with the fact that like, I've been here for an hour and she just like literally pulled a keychain with my logo out of her ass. Like, you know, so, and I mean, almost all of, we did it for like the tree trimming guy.
And they always say like, how can I order more?
Yeah. So
I mean, that's one of the benefits. You know, sometimes it goes like that, and sometimes it doesn't. But sometimes it may take a while, and you forget about it, and all of a sudden they come out of the woodwork, and they're like, "Hey, remember 3 months ago when you gave me that keychain?"
Totally. Yeah. Well, because maybe right now they're like, it's on the budget, not whatever. But then maybe 3 months from now, they're like, oh, we need to do like some giveaway, or we want to give something to our employees or our customers. And they're like, remember that guy who came in?
They just think about it after a few jobs. They're like, man, if I could give them a keychain, or if I could give them a magnet or whatever, like, man, they would like remember me. Let me go back to that other that other house and see if she can make me some or whatever.
Right.
For sure.
And so when was the YouTube channel born?
Yeah, so the YouTube started like a lot of other people who started YouTube during the pandemic.
You
know, even with, I had just moved here from California, literally 2 months before all that crap started.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just got settled into a brand new house, just moved my whole company out here.
And where are you now?
I'm in Georgia.
Georgia, okay.
And then the phones just stopped ringing. I mean, they weren't really ringing anyway because I had just moved and I was just starting to make a presence for myself here. I didn't change my name to Georgia Engraving. I didn't change anything. I just moved my business. And because I had a lot of good reviews.
Right.
I had a Yelp presence, a Google review presence.
I had
everything was in place. Like, why rebrand myself just because I'm in Georgia?
It's not easy to rebrand. Anyone who's rebranded, like it sucks because there's a lot that goes into rebranding. So especially when you've already built it, and by then it usually means something to you. There's obviously reasons where rebranding is a solid choice or necessary. But yeah.
So I was just kind of sitting there and I was like, well, phones aren't really ringing, emails aren't really coming in. And I was like, I'm going to make a video. I had made some before for Sonoma Laser Engraving, but that they like never went anywhere.
Right.
And so I made my first video is like how to remove an engraving. It has nothing to do with an engraving. It's how to remove engraving with a sander, right? Like,
I mean, that's a good one. When you fuck up,
that was my first video, and I filmed it out in the driveway, and I'm like, hey, you got this thing? Because someone had brought me 200 boxes with the wrong logo on it. Not from me. And they're like, hey, can we pay you to take these off and then put the right logo on? And I was like, sure. It was so dumb. I lost my ass on that job so bad. But I didn't charge enough for that.
Underestimated the amount of work.
But so I made a video because I was doing so many, put some affiliate links up for the tools I was using and then just kind of watched it kind of fizzle out. And, I was like, well, whatever. Forgot about it. And then this phone still weren't ringing months later. Like I had more time on my hands. So I was like, okay, let's try a little harder and make something different. Like, let's use the lasers this time. Let's actually create something.
Right.
And I did a how to laser cut leather patches with real leather and how to apply adhesive to the back and how to mount them on a hat with a hat press.
Nice.
And that one did a little bit better. And then honestly, business started to kind of pick up a little bit and I forgot about it. I literally forgot about the video, didn't check it, didn't log into YouTube, started working.
Yeah.
And then when I checked back on it like 4 months later, I was like, all the comments were there that I did not answer.
Yeah.
YouTube was like, hey, you're almost ready to monetize. What are you doing over there, buddy? And so that really motivated me to start making more videos.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So how long? Because we might be taking a hiatus.
Right? Yeah, right. Like, we haven't had that happen yet. So
instead of like hitting the refresh button, I just kind of left it alone and walked away because business started to pick up. And I was like, oh, here's work. I need money now. I don't have time for this anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But now I have to make time for it.
Yeah. So how has it been, I guess, since you got monetization, and then like, where did it go from there? Did it kind of just naturally grow, with each, new video, or?
That's a good question. So I still do laser engraving full-time Monday through Friday. And now I also have like a whole list of videos that I want to make. and I'm not the best videographer, and I'm learning about audio and editing, and you know, I'm learning a new trade as I'm doing this.
Right.
So it's becoming a challenge. Like
Yeah.
it's getting ready to collide here. Like any
Yeah.
second, something's got to give because.
Well, if you need an editor, I
Yeah.
know.
No one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'm always looking.
Riley Black
for-
Media.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And I mean, he's actually helping a couple other YouTube channels like get theirs up and running. And so one thing that a lot of people underestimate when they start making videos is the time, one, to record them well, quality video, audio, all that, is the time that editing comes, like, that it takes. Because, like, I remember, so I did an online course, right? And so I had, like, I don't remember what video I was editing. It was like a 30-minute video, maybe, or 10 to 30 minutes, right? And it took me all fucking day to edit that 30-minute video. And I was like, and I told him, and I was like,
I know.
It's taking me all day. And I did one video, and he goes, yeah, how long was the video? And I was like, 30 minutes. He goes, that's actually pretty good time. I was like,
for someone who's teaching themselves the software as they go along, it's a pretty good time.
Yeah. And I was like, shit. I did not, because when you don't know what you don't know. And so 30-minute video, you're like, oh, sure, it'll take a little bit longer than 30 minutes, but
that's the other shirt.
What?
Remember you were looking for logos of what the shirt should say? You don't know what you don't know. How many times don't you say that on the podcast?
Yeah, I say that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't know what you don't know.
T-shirt.
Right. You don't.
Yeah, I actually used that in one of my videos a few videos back. Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. It's
right.
If you don't, I was comparing laser speeds. I made a really big point in one of my videos that but that how many companies talk about the bed size, the wattage, and and the camera.
Right.
But they don't want to talk about the speed of how fast their laser head travels. And I just was sick of it.
Yeah.
So I made a big point in my, top 10 video to really pay attention before you invest in your first machine.
Right.
How fast is it? I'm not saying you have to have 2 of these. Okay.
Right.
Okay. You get there. Trust me. You put in hard work. You listen to what this whole community and guys like me are telling you, and Alex and other professionals that you've had on that have a lot of knowledge. You will get those. Right. And then you'll know what you didn't know. Right. So what I'm saying, and I just made a point. I kind of broke down the speeds, not to shame any of the machines, but just know what you don't know before you go buy.
Well, and again, I didn't even know what a fucking laser was when I hit purchase. So it was a real brave purchase. But again, thankfully I kind of made that stupid mistake, honestly, because if I would have looked into lasers more, I probably wouldn't have bought one. If I would have researched it more, I would have given myself that analysis paralysis. I would have been overwhelmed, probably by the negative feedback that was on the Glowforge. I would have been overwhelmed with the fact that I had to figure out how to vent the thing. I think I knew that it needed to be vented, but I may not have known that I even needed to do that.
You would have known quick enough if you didn't hooked up.
Right. And I sure as shit didn't know that I needed to clean it. I didn't realize how dirty it got. I didn't know anything because from, all I knew was vinyl cutters, and my vinyl cutter never got dirty. The blade would just kind of wear out eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and now that I think about it, I'm kind of like, really, Crystal, how did you not figure these things out? And I mean, they were on their website, I'm sure, all of that is there.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because if I did, I would have been nervous about buying the Glowforge, too nervous to buy it. And it was the reason I kind of got in here, because it got my feet wet. And I would have been scared of, hurting myself or lighting things on fire, instead kind of me going in blind actually helped me like not overthink things initially.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something to say for that. And once it arrives at your doorstep, you're like, well, now I've done it.
Do it.
Now I've done it. It's here. Right. So now I got to just dive in.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And so how many lasers do you have now?
I have these two right here. And then off camera, I have 2 fiber lasers right here.
Nice. And so what are those two?
That's an Epilog Fusion Edge, the little guy, the 24 by 12.
Little guy.
That's Little John. And then this is the M2 Fusion, what they had before their it's like a 32 by 20.
Okay, yeah. So you were pointing at the big one saying Little John. I was like, that's okay.
That's Little John.
Okay.
That's the big guy, and he's 120 watts, 32 by 20.
Nice.
Yeah. They both.
And so which one was your next purchase?
Oh, the little guy. The little guy. That I call him my employee. That's my employee. I literally got that to do cups.
Nice.
Like I do some other precision stuff on there because it has a cool camera on it. And if I need to like line up something really weird, and I just don't feel like tracing out the outline of it and doing that, because there's a lot of ways to do that.
Right.
The camera actually is really good on here if you put it right in the middle of the bed, whatever it is.
Right.
And it's very accurate. But mostly I use it for cups.
Nice. So when we have like free space and all the money in the world, we want to get laser that's just for tumblers, so that I don't have to break down the rotary or do any of that shit in between.
The rotary is usually in that all the time.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool unit, and it's kind of, I thought this one was fast when I got it because I had an AP laser, was my first CO2. Years and years ago, I had an AP laser.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
It was a very bad experience. So I got this, and that's when I realized what I had before. I didn't understand that things could go that fast.
Yeah.
Like I had no clue. I didn't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got that, and then I realized there's nothing else beyond that, I was like, okay, well, I'm here. I've arrived.
Right.
You know what I mean? And my point I was making is that this machine, which I just got a few months ago or about a year ago, oops, I got a motion light. Anyway, this machine is even faster than that machine. To the point where I had to brace that table that it's on.
Wow.
So it was all it's crazy.
Well, and is that because just the specs of it, or is it because it's like lighter, or?
No, it's because of the stepper motors and the and the belts and everything that they put into it. It's wizardry. I don't know how they did it, but you can't even see the head when it's going. I'm not joking. Wow. It just looks like a blur. It just looks like a blur.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, calm down.
All right. Showing off.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I mean, have you ever seen a Glowforge engrave?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about speed.
Yeah, talk about blowing the walls off.
Yeah, there's no shaking of anything going on with an engrave. Maybe with a cut on an uneven surface. Maybe.
Yeah.
But definitely not with an engrave. That was, my mind was blown. Like I had seen it before. I had a couple friends who had industrial lasers, and I remember, oh my God, I used to do watch bands on the Glowforge, and I have some pretty intricate designs that I would put on watch bands, like full band designs. And they would take like 30, 35 minutes to engrave on the Glowforge. And another friend of mine was like kind of, deciding which one to buy and should she take the jump. And she loaded in one of our like watch band files into her machine. and hers was a Mira 7 at the time, so not even like one of the faster ones, and it was something like 5 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that. We were all like how is that even possible?
Totally. Yeah. That's back to my point. I feel like a lot of the manufacturers out there, they don't really talk about that.
Right.
And so it's really important to just look into that, whatever machine. And there's a lot of good machines out there. Just pay attention to the speed.
Yeah. Well, and like one comparison that was important to me even after, so I have a Mira 9, and I remember they were telling me, if I go too fast cutting my acrylic, especially coming from a Glowforge, I wanted to take advantage of the speed. And I was going too fast to where there was more like jagged edges, or like, it almost kind of looks zippered on the side.
Yeah, you didn't get the flame polish.
Right. And with the Glowforge, because it's so fucking slow, you basically get the flame polish.
Always.
Because it's so
by
slow.
default.
Yes. And I didn't know that because I was so spoiled. I had my Glowforge for 2 years, and all of my acrylic stuff, the edges looked amazing. And so then I go to the Mira and I'm like, wait, what's wrong with my edges? Like these edges are fucked up. And they're like, well, how fast are you going? And I'm like, I think it was 20, 25 something. They're like, whoa, slow it down.
Easy, Tex.
They're like, slow with more power, I think, or something. I forget what they said, but they definitely said slower. That's all I heard. And I was like, I don't want to go slower. I want to go faster. I'm on faster. And I remember, I think they were recommending around like 9 speed, right? Which was half or more than half of what I was doing. And I was complaining about having to go, that slow. And he was like, and see, I don't remember the numbers, but when he compared the Glowforge speed to even 9 speed on my Mira 9,
you were still getting a huge boost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm like sitting here like whining about it because, 9 sounds like super low, but like, and it's slow. But if that's the quality of the cut you want, then you got to do it.
Right.
So and that would have been something that would have been helpful in the beginning too, and I probably wouldn't have complained so much if I saw the like comparison of
totally.
Yeah.
It's important. It's not the only factor.
Right.
But and I talk about it so much because what it really comes down to is output. Right? Like how many more watch bands could you have engraved in a day?
Right. Yeah.
With the Mira.
Right.
Versus sitting there.
Right. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, and then the worst part. So it's funny because a watch band is the reason I upgraded. So I had wanted to upgrade, but what really pushed me over the edge was with my more complicated designs. Every once in a while, me and my friend, we called them ghost lines. A random line that was not in your design would show up in the design. And I have had it happen like once or twice on my Mira, and it's always with the more complicated designs. I think there's just so many nodes that in the design that the laser engraver or the system or the software is kind of like it. If
you ever run into that again, don't do anything to the file. Send it to me.
Okay.
I'll throw it in and see if it does the same thing.
Yeah.
And if it does, then I'll throw it back to you and say it's your file.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, was that every time it happened, it would be somewhere different.
Oh.
It would be a file I've run 10 times before. And just that day, and it would always be on the fucking day where you have one left in that color. And so that happened to me.
I'm only laughing because I've been there.
Right. And so 35 minutes later, you go and you check on your engrave that should be done, and it is. And then there's this fucking line straight down, the middle or off to the side or whatever in the last band you have in that color. And I'm like, fuck this shit, man. And I blamed it all on Glowforge, which it did happen a lot more in their software. And they might have even fixed it. I'm in a lot of Glowforge groups, and I haven't seen a lot of people complain about that recently. So it could have been something they've corrected since then, or whatever. And I would always love Glowforge when you would reach out to them when it would happen, and they would blame the material. And I'm like, okay, like the silicone, there's, or the piece of wood. The piece of wood is the issue because it's not, proof grade that they sell. And I'm like, there was no line there before. There's literally an engraved line. It's not the material.
Yeah, it's like it skipped a scan gap or something.
Yeah,
like
well,
that. Yeah.
exactly. Or it did an extra one.
Oh, like didn't move up when it needed to move up. It did it twice and then moved up.
Something. Yeah. And it was so random, and it was like it will connect like the top of like letters I've seen before, like the T to like the L, or just it's super random, but every time it happens, it typically ruins your piece. So it was super frustrating. But I don't even know where I was going with that. Well, I mean, it was even more so at a disadvantage the time, because now I've not only I didn't just waste 5 minutes in a watch band on my current industrial laser. I wasted 35 minutes and whatever, and your profit margins are a lot lower because I'm still probably when I had the Glowforge, I was still selling at prices that probably people were selling with their industrial laser, and it was just taking me a whole lot longer to make it than it took them.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, speed is huge.
Yeah, speed is huge.
So what are some of the things that, like, do you have a particular topic that you cover the most on your channel? Is it more fiber? Is it just anything laser as it comes up?
I actually need to start doing more fiber stuff because I do a lot of fiber stuff and I just haven't gotten into it yet.
Yeah.
I want to focus on CO2 lasers. Almost, CO2 lasers and fiber is my plan for this year. So, and start throwing some more fiber into the mix.
Yeah.
Because I still have the same machine that I talked about.
That's awesome.
That says something.
Yeah.
Right? It's right here. I've never had to replace a board.
And so how old is it? How long ago was that story?
It's like 10 years old, like 9 years old.
That's awesome.
And it's still here. I've had to replace the scan head once, and that was because one of the mirrors is probably my fault. One of the mirrors didn't get cleaned. But I mean, it's still, even with that, like it lasted like 7 years before. So I just had to replace the scan head, and that was it. But like the laser source is rock solid. Everything is rock solid.
Yeah.
So I want to do more stuff on the fiber. And I don't know, you asked me what my focus was. My focus is like, I love trying to figure out like cool ways to use the laser and like things that maybe people haven't thought of, like not hacking your laser, but like hacking the application of what you're trying to do. But then I also want to cover like the basics of how I do things here in the shop, because some of them are very traditional and some of them are not traditional. Because we all create our own ways to get things done that work for us.
Can you think of like one example of that? Like what's something that you did recently that was kind of like a hack that you were showing them?
Okay. So, okay. So I have like 2,000 of these coasters that I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay. These are made of like palm. Okay. They're super thin and they're handmade and they come from Guatemala. All right. They get drop shipped to me from the client. Okay. So I've got to do like 2,000 of these.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of ways, and obviously I'm going to use the big machine to do as many as I can at once.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to make a jig for these. They're all like, I don't know what this is, like 3 inch, 4 inches, whatever. They're mostly round circles, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're done with a stamp, you can tell. And it's kind of more of an oval. Like if you measure it, it's like, okay, it's not really as oval, but and each one's kind of different. So I'm like, but not so much where you can't do the job.
Right.
and they know that. And that's one of the things you need to do. Like if you get something like this where it's not a circle and they told you it was going to be a circle, you need to call, like this is business practice. You need to call them right away. Hey, I just want to let you know these are not a circle.
Right.
And you want me to put this logo right in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. Not going to happen because I am not going to make a jig for each one of these 2,000 thing based on the shape of this.
Right. Yeah.
So, and they're usually like, oh yeah, okay, we totally get it.
Right. Yeah.
So instead of like cutting a wood jig or using a camera, which you couldn't do anyway, because it's a fisheye lens and the ones way out in the corner wouldn't line up properly.
Right.
Only the ones in the middle.
Yep.
I just took this and you asked, so I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I just took this masking tape. This is wide enough to cover my whole bed.
Nice.
Okay. And I literally covered my whole, because my laser has a cut table and then underneath it has an aluminum flat placement table.
Okay.
So I lay this over the whole table and then, X-Acto blade off any overage.
Yeah.
And then I literally have my template in Adobe Illustrator of all the circles for these, as many as I can pack in there.
Right.
And I run the laser and I cut all the circles out really quick. I mean, it's fast, like zoom, zoom, like it's just paper. So it takes 2 seconds. And then I peel up all the circles. And then I just sit there and I place them in there. And then I load the graphics, which match up with the circles, and I run the job.
That's a solid laser hack.
So that's a hack. I'm not going to spend time to make a wooden jig or, like that's, and as soon as I'm done, I just peel up the masking tape and go back to the new job. So there's a laser hack, right?
Yeah.
It's like a disposable jig, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I made sure that my graphics are, their logo is just big enough, but not too wide to compensate for all those variances in the circles, right? That's how you do it. You don't come right out to the edge. You got to find that happy medium,
right?
To where no matter where, even if you were off, and
if one of them is like more off on this side or one of them's more off on this side, like you might see the slight variances, afterwards. But again, these are
these are giveaways. They're not going to put, these are for customers.
They don't care.
They're going to put a drink on them, get drunk, and they're gone.
Right. Unless you are a laser owner and you get one of those coasters, you might look at it and be like, that's not centered.
Exactly. You can't help it. That's just ingrained in us. Everything we look at driving around, looking at billboards, that's totally off to the left.
Yep.
So
you're not getting one by on me.
we recorded a podcast earlier today. We're doubling up today so that we can be off next week, and he literally just like brought up a story about how we were driving down the street going to our son's daycare, and there's a big ass sign, and I'm like, my brain is like, I wonder how big that laser was, or how did they make it, or we can't help that.
And it happens with fonts too. You start driving around.
Fonts kill.
You're all, they're using black chancery. How unoriginal.
Oh, they didn't weld their font. You see that little
you see that little thing? Overlap? I see what they did. I see what they did.
Fucked up. Someone else might not notice that, but I see it.
Laser snobs.
What'd you say?
Laser snobs.
We total laser snobs. So your goal, you said, for the YouTube was to do more of those kind of videos, right?
Yeah, practical stuff, practical stuff, but then also like kind of creative, like new stuff that maybe nobody's done before.
Well, and I keep wanting to ask you, but I didn't, because I didn't know if it was you, but I feel like it might have been. But someone did one on using powder coating, filling engraves.
Yes, that was me.
Oh, see, I almost didn't ask you. I was like, he's gonna be like, no, that fucking wasn't me.
Yeah, that was me. And if you check the date on it, you'll notice that every video that came up on that afterwards was after my video.
Nice.
So that was something that I had been wanting to do for a while. And I didn't see it done anywhere because I'm a mad scientist, like a lot of people out there who have lasers.
Yeah.
And
this will work.
And I had just did a video on using acrylic with a mask and how to like paint fill traditionally, how I do it. There's a lot of ways, and people had great in the comments. They were like, "Hey, have you ever tried this? You can add this to what you just did." And I was like, "Oh, awesome!" You know, like they were kind of adding to it, like this is even making it even better.
Right.
But then afterwards, I was like, I don't really like painting. I do, but I don't.
Sucks.
Yeah, but I was like, I've always wanted to just throw something on the bed and just like, and then have it clean up, you know?
Right.
And so I just bought a bunch of powder coat and started goofing around. And I'll never forget the first time I had the setting right and it worked. I was like, I took it out and I like banged it on the counter to see if it would like fly out. And
you're like, wait, did it really work?
And I ran upstairs and I told my wife, I was like, hey, and she's like, what am I looking at? And I'm all,
that's me.
I'm like, you know what I just did, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, I said, this is going to be a really cool video. I think people are really going to like this a lot.
Yeah.
So
I liked it so much that I went out and I bought black powder coating. You know, the bags come in what, a pound?
Yeah, like a pound for $15 or something.
This much. And so I bought a pound and I've never done it. But I bought the pound because of you.
It works.
I'm gonna try it because I hate paint filling. And like, I mean, I hate painting in general, but I hate paint filling because it can be really hard to get a clean paint fill. And I'm like super OCD about it. And when I saw your video, I was like, oh, I got to try that. And I never did.
That was a fun video to make. I was very excited about that.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. And it works really well. Like, you know, I get asked all the time, like, can I put this on a cutting board and then people can eat off of it? I'm like, no. That's not what that's not what this is for. This is like for decorative stuff.
Right.
And it's especially helpful with bamboo because bamboo's
super
notoriously hard to like get a consistent mark on because the grains are always changing and who knows which grade of bamboo it is. And you can throw tons of power at it and run it really slow and char the crap out of it, but that doesn't really look good either.
Right.
So using some powder coat, some black powder coat over some bamboo engraving looks really nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what are some goals that you have maybe then for your actual laser engraving business?
Oh, for the laser engraving business?
Yeah.
You're talking about Sonoma Laser.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the goals that is like ongoing is like I don't know. I procrastinate.
Same.
Sometimes, you know, I'm just gonna get real with you for a second. Sometimes,
please do.
You know, sometimes I procrastinate, and I look back at the prior week, like that I was procrastinating, like the week before, and realize that I probably could have saved myself a bunch of like running around with like a chicken with my head cut off if I just would have done the job right away, and just got it instead of. But then I also like try to make excuses for, well, you had to shoot that video for Laser Engraving 911. And it's like, well, you did, but you also spent some time on YouTube just scrolling around doing stuff that, you know, and so I'm constantly kind of looking at myself going, okay, that's one thing that I want to work on this year is like, you know, sticking to the time that, you know, I always stick to the time that I said I was going to do the job.
Right.
But sometimes I wait till the day of or the day before to get it done. And it makes the customer, some of them kind of worry, like, you know, because I pushed it right to the end of the window. Right. And I don't do that.
Again, always with my luck, that's when something happens of like, I'm always sick or the kids are sick or, you know, something that I don't plan when I push it to the last minute, something I don't think about happening happens. And now I'm like, well, fuck, I just wasted that week
where I literally could have done it every single solitary day, but I wait and I'm going to do it Monday. Well, then Monday is maybe a hurricane's coming or a tropical storm, or, the kid's sick, or, you just don't know. And so, yeah, that's something I definitely could use some improvement on as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. And then, believe it or not, since another thing that I want to do and I'm working hard on right now is that because I have the machines that I have, I've never had to learn Lightburn ever, because these machines have their own proprietary software, and they work directly with Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
So, but now that I'm getting into this whole world of newer, more, I want to talk about more affordable machines for people just starting out. They're all using Lightburn.
Yep.
So I know that sounds silly to some people, but if you think about it, it's not, because I've never had to use it. I've never had to adjust a scan gap. I've never had to do any of those internal settings.
Yeah.
Because anyway, they just come dialed in. They're done.
Right.
Yeah. So I am learning I want to learn how to become proficient with Lightburn. And so I signed up for Alex's crash course, on his Laser Masters Academy. Just because I've been doing this 10 years doesn't mean I know everything. There's so much that I can learn, always, all the time.
Yeah.
So I signed up for his course. I've been watching YouTube videos. I'm going to actually go to Illinois to the Lightburn in October. Do you know they're having a 3-day training conference?
Yeah.
Their first ever, I think. Maybe it's their second. I don't know. But as soon as I got the email, I was like, yes, I'm going.
You're like, on my way.
Because I can drive up there. It's like,
oh, nice.
It's not too far.
Yeah.
But so I want to go to that and just be showered in Lightburn.
Right. We actually met Jason. So we've had him on the podcast, Jason Dory, the creator of Lightburn.
Fantastic.
We had him on the podcast, then we met him in person at the Eon party. And he's a pretty cool dude. Smart as fuck.
Yeah.
I have no doubt, to come up with a program like that.
Right.
I mean, it's, he basically looked at everything that's going on and was like, how can we make this awesome Swiss Army knife? Of not just the controller for the boards, but let's add a live trace function, because people want live trace, that was super cool. So I'm fascinated by it. I think it's super cool. It's got a lot of, right now as a new user, believe it, it's got a lot of buttons and little windows with values that I don't really want to look at. I'm like, I don't want to see that.
I use Lightburn for my Mira, and 100%. I know enough to run my machine. I don't know anything really additional. And that's out of comfort and procrastination, because every time I learn something new in Lightburn, it's usually a time saver or some kind of fancy tool. One of the recent ones that I actually passed on to another user, she was showing off her sheet of acrylic, and she was showing how little material was left over. And we were all kind of giving her shit about how she really could have made something closer and whatever, just fucking with her. But she had some shapes that were basically two rectangles right next to each other. And probably earrings or something like that. Well, there's a tool in Lightburn where, I think they have to be the same exact shape or length or whatever.
Right.
But if you have an overlapping line, you can select to ignore the overlapping line, and it'll only cut that line once instead of, putting it just a little bit away from each other. And now you're seeing the whole line.
Totally.
And depending on what you're cutting, so if you're cutting out, say you're cutting out 1 million rectangle keychains or something like that, you put them, use the
it's like a share the line feature.
Yeah.
You're sharing, you're creating, instead of overlapping, you're just saying, hey, just cut it once, because it saves time. Yeah, it saves time.
Right. Well, time and
material.
Material. Your laser is doing less work for the same product. I think I saw someone who was doing like rectangles or squares, and they were doing a whole bunch of them. And they did a whole sheet, and you could basically share the line across and all the lines down, and it was a huge time saver on her file. And being able to share that one, that's like one of the few like, ooh, I know something really cool about Lightburn that I can share with people. But every time you share it with someone, they're like, oh. So yeah, and there's a ton of those in Lightburn. So if you take the time to learn them, you'll have them. And so that's probably a goal I should make for myself this year, is that there's a lot of really fancy tools in Lightburn that I don't even know exist. And they have all of that out there. They have a ton of, like, I don't know if they have a YouTube, but their forum is amazing. I've gone on their forum a couple times to try and find something. So, and I mean, Heather, she's emailed them a couple times when she's had a question or a problem, and they get back like fast, like real fast. Nice. She's emailed someone and they've emailed her back in like 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, they're a great company for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a niche with your Sonoma laser company?
Ooh, no, I don't sell. So like I'm an engraving service kind of job shop. So I don't like sell a lot of products online. I don't craft a lot of products. That's not really what I do.
Yeah.
If I had a niche, I'm an engraver. I'm a laser. I'm a job shop. So you bring me the stuff, and my niche is that I'll figure out how to engrave it. And I've engraved some weird stuff.
Like what?
An airplane propeller from a full-size prop from an airplane.
Wow,
that's cool.
Like that was like, I think Alex and I did that together. We had to create like sawhorses to like hold it outside of the laser, and then jig it up in there and feed it into the laser.
Yeah. Did you have like one shot at that?
One shot, man.
Yeah.
How did you know what settings to use?
It's a very strange wood because it's kind of light but firm. It's kind of like
so it was wood though. Okay.
It was wood. Yeah, it was wood.
So that helps, because I mean, still it would have given me a ton of anxiety. But like I use the same engraved settings for like all wood.
Mm-hmm.
So and my engraved setting for wood is pretty similar to my engraved setting for acrylic too. But
yeah. I do microscopic engravings with the fiber laser that you need a microscope to see.
That's pretty cool.
So that's pretty fun to line that up.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they have, there's machines out there that have the microscope built into it that will do the registration for you.
Okay.
I don't, and I don't think we have time to tell people how I do it, but it's once you get the jig set up and you're registered, it's not that you're just replacing screws.
And so
So I do microscopic engravings that are on titanium surgical screws for a medical company. So that's like an ongoing job. Yeah, they keep bringing me work like every other week.
Right.
And then it's not just screws. They bring me all kinds of medical tools and parts and weird stuff that needs annealing. Most of it's annealing, the black mark, fiber laser. Yeah. Yeah.
So with doing the engraving of a lot of items that they bring you, that's a pretty hard pass for me in my business, just because, with my anxiety, I'm going to overthink it. And I'm going to kind of like when a cop gets behind you and you start swerving, I'm going to start swerving as soon as I only have like one chance or less chances, even with some extras. So how do you handle that part?
Honestly, okay. How long have you been laser engraving?
4 years almost.
Well,
yeah.
Right. But you haven't done a lot of people's stuff, right? You've mostly been doing your own crafts and your own products and stuff, right? So I started right off the bat doing other people's stuff.
Okay.
So my first 4 years was shitting my pants and and doing a lot of setup and a lot of testing and a lot of lineups and a lot of if I was like, hey, you know what, I'm going to get into engraving wood stocks. I know I'm going to want to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go online and find a company that makes wood stocks and call them and say, do you have any scrap shit in back of your yard that I could buy from you?
Right.
And they'll say, yeah, actually we do. We'd be happy to sell it
Right,
to you.
right. Half
Yeah.
the time, I mean, half the time there's places who a lot of like a tip that I see in the group a lot is find a local cabinet maker, because they throw away a lot of their throw away or burn a lot of their extra plywood because they can't use it on their cabinets and it takes up space in their shops and shit. And so they're literally they're going to throw it away or burn it anyway. And so they're like, take it. It's free. Just take it.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So a lot of testing on my own stuff, because I bought not expensive items, but things that are like the item that I know I'm going to want to do.
Right.
So, and then the other way that, with items like that you're asking, we do a lot of setup before we hit the go button. And, I talk about this all the time on my channel, and people don't know why. They're like, why is he obsessed with blue tape? I was like, well, this is the blue tape you put over the stock, the $900 stock that you're about to test your mark at 5% power to see if it's okay.
Here's something.
And that's why you do. That's why you test. And you may have to realign it afterward, but that file went over correctly because you lightly engraved it on this, and then you peeled it off. Now, I know that's not possible with every single thing. I get that. But if you can test, or you can find a way to do a test run without damaging, it's that expensive, and you put your big nuts on, and you have put your big girl or your big boy pants on, then you better do some testing before you hit that and do it again. And when you think you're done, do it one more time.
Right.
And then run the job. And then as you get more confident over the years, you just get more confident. I can have someone, at this point, I can have someone with that shotgun stock standing over my shoulder while I'm lining it up.
Oh,
that's how confident I am, because you develop a process,
right?
And you know what you trust your machines.
Yeah.
Because 5 years ago you hit start and it went over garbled, and you will never do that again.
Right.
Right. So you learn from that. It's a great learning mistake. I bet you she will never hit start again.
She will not. Right. She did.
She will do it a different way.
I don't think she's doing stocks anymore. I mean, one, because it is technically illegal unless you have the what is it, the FFL?
Yep.
Yeah, I always want to say FLL because isn't that the airport?
If it's just the stock, attached from the firearm,
right?
It's okay.
True.
It's okay.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean the blue tape, that's great. I love that you brought that up, because here's how my brain kind of hinders me sometimes is I use that hack on tumblers. And I want to use that hack because I want to learn how to do some full wrap. So I sell a lot of laser files, and I want to turn a lot of my designs that I've already done for other stuff into full wrap tumbler designs, because those are like hot right now.
Yep.
And it can be hard to kind of get your math down to figure out, to get everything to line up, on both sides. Yeah. But I don't think, maybe because the application has never come up, but I've never thought about using the blue tape over something to test something that's not a tumbler design. Yeah. And it could just be because it's kind of like a newer hack that I learned, and maybe I just haven't had, an application to think about it. But I mean,
as long as it's a surface where it's not going to get it's not going to peel up anything,
right?
When you're done. If it's something antique-y and has a flaky, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have to just do it,
Right.
And there's other stuff for when you're fiber laser engraving. A great hack to use if you're unsure about placement or something like that. You can grab a dry erase marker and cover whatever it is, the watch back, the bracelet that you're freaking out about, and you can just take a black or dry eraser marker and cover the area lightly that you're about to mark, and then create a setting on your fiber laser that just removes the dry erase marker. It's never going to hurt the metal. It just wipes right away. You don't even need a rag.
True, right.
Right. So that way you, in the low power setting, just engraves your name or date or whatever it is right there. And you're like, oh, I was actually out of alignment. I'm going to notch this up a few times, run
Right.
it, put some more dry erase on there, run it again. And then when you're done, hit the go button, you know, hit the full power button. So yeah, you could, there's lots of ways to check on high-end, expensive, you know, nerve-wracking things.
Yeah.
There's ways to do all your quadruple checking before you do it.
Yeah. Well, and then I guess, does business insurance then help you, like, on the
if you mess somebody's stuff up?
Like, is that does that help you?
They're gonna try to weasel out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, don't even bother. Business insurance.
just take the
hit, learn from it, whatever it was.
Right.
Learn from it, get back up. You know, you'll never do it again, I guarantee you. And if you do, then maybe you need to take a close look in the mirror.
Maybe you need to slow the fuck down.
If it's really that bad and you did it again, you know, then you got to slow down.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of mistakes that I do.
My business insurance.
You know better.
Yeah.
It's not on the expensive ones. Yeah.
No.
You don't make the expensive mistakes several times. At least, like you said, you hope not.
No. Yeah, it hurts. And we've all done it. You know, I've definitely boned it on some things early on, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have anything? So something we usually ask, do you have any advice for a new or struggling laser owner?
Oh, yes, I do. And I've already said it in one of my videos, and we kind of just said it right now.
Right.
You know, if you make mistakes or you screw up on a job and you're just getting started, I'm not talking about buying a laser or picking out which and learning light burn. I'm talking about once you've already done that and you start taking on work.
Yeah.
And you screw up, like, don't get down on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Learn from it, get back up, and keep going. Like, it's part of the process. Like, don't let that be the reason that you unplug your laser and walk away and go back to whatever you were doing. Don't give up. Like, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna some of them are gonna sting really bad. And you're gonna be hitting your head on the table going, how could I been so stupid? Right? You know, but it's not that you were stupid, you just didn't know enough yet, and you haven't made those mistakes enough yet to learn from them. So I guess my advice is mistakes are okay as long as you're learning from them, and just get back up and keep going. Yeah.
I remember this is I guess a good example. I remember when our company had been bought out when I still had a corporate job, and we were all doing new work, and there was still like a lot of unknowns. I don't even know that I had like an official like supervisor or anything yet. And so I was coding invoices at the time, and I had no idea if I was coding them properly. And it drove me fucking nuts because I didn't get a yes, I didn't get a no, I didn't get anything. And at that point, I'd rather be told, no, you're doing something wrong, so I knew how to do it right. And so mistakes, like, they can be a really good thing. And sometimes, like, having a mistake is when you find that really awesome laser hack or a way to do it better. You know, mistakes are good. They don't feel good all the time.
No, they don't.
Right.
They can be really good. They can be really good for your career, good for your business.
Yeah, for sure.
Where can people find you and find your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so they can definitely type in YouTube, Laser Engraving 911. That's my YouTube channel. And for any reason, if you want to look at my business page, it's SonomaLaserEngraving.com. And those are the two best places to get a hold of me.
Cool.
Right, yeah.
Well, thanks again, Michael. That was fun.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Yeah, for sure.
Stay tuned for our life update coming up next.
All right.
And we're back with a life update. So this is a little hard for us because we recorded 104 this morning.
Yeah.
And now this is nighttime and we're recording 105.
Yeah. We had to double up.
So life update really, our current life update was last week.
What's changed in the last few hours? We ate this.
We can't predict. But luckily, this episode comes out on March 27th.
Well, hold on. Don't get there yet.
Oh.
So the reason we're doing two, I think we might have kind of touched on it on the last one.
Right.
But we doubled up because that's a couple days after Heather's U-Haul like things.
Yeah.
Those little like pod things, but not pods.
So she's officially here.
Yeah, she's officially here. She literally is like at her new
She's in her new house.
Yeah. And so we're driving up there so that John can help them unload.
Not we. We can, because when she says we,
listen, I fixed it. I didn't even say it this time. I said that John, we are going up there so that John can help them unload stuff.
And the kids can play.
I can't because I'm just falling a fuck apart. And someone has to take care of the kids anyway. So, although it could maybe be Kathy, or Kath.
That's Kath.
So I found out with Heather sharing all the stuff, the huge debacle with the mortgage company. Yeah. Her name's Kathleen. So it's not even Kathy. So I get how kind of Kath is like the half of it. Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I'm a terrible mover. I can move like the little stuff, but my back is still like,
no, for sure.
Chill, bro. Yeah. So, but anyway, so we're doubling up because we actually had one scheduled next week, and he was
and help him move.
Yeah, he was graciously able to move it up a week, and so we get to go hang out with my laser bestie.
And it was a fun interview.
It was great. It was great. Yeah, he's really interesting. I gotta watch more of his videos for sure.
I like how it took you a minute to realize that he was the Michael. Yeah. Like Alex's boss, Michael.
No, it wasn't until you said it.
Yeah, I was like, as he was telling his story, I probably would
have got there and I would have been like, that's really similar to Alex's story. Yeah. He'd be like, well, yeah, because I was Alex's boss, or I was like, So I was like, that's interesting. You too?
Yeah. That was funny. That was funny.
So anyway, that'll air around the 27th.
Yeah.
And that will literally be, I think,
we'll be leaving.
The day before, or the day my sister gets in. What day of the week? That's a Monday.
Looking now. Yep, it's Monday the 27th.
So my sister gets in on Tuesday the 28th.
Yep.
And we'll be kind of prepping her and showing her how we do all the things with the boys.
Yep. And then
we'll dip. JR is really excited to hang out with TT Angie.
So he realizes we're leaving.
He knows, but he doesn't know.
And then so this is coming out that Monday. So on Thursday we'll be heading to Dallas for the big conference.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's exciting.
I got a lot of stuff
we got our shirts.
We do, yeah. We got our
shirts 2 weeks ago when this goes out.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
It was today. Actually,
no, it was yesterday when I went to work.
Was it? Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was yesterday. Yeah.
We got the shirts.
Just come to the dark side. We don't have to do the
we got
estimating.
The shirts. Yeah, we got the shirts in, so it's really exciting.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're going to the conference as well later this week, we'll see you there.
And we're gonna do a live podcast somehow.
Oh, we're doing a live podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Gotta take all this stuff.
I mean, not all of it.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we could probably just use the computer instead of the actual. But you need the camera anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
Aren't you going to be recording shit?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're bringing it all anyway. Yeah. Quit your bitching.
Yeah. So we'll be doing a live podcast from out there.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
It will be fun. I'm really excited.
I can't wait.
I had an awesome time. It's a lot of fucking work.
I got to squeeze in seeing my sister.
Oof, yeah. I don't even know how we're
she lives out there.
Like, we have to. I just don't know how we're going to pull it all
off. I told her, come to the hotel. We'll have lunch or dinner or something.
Seriously.
And then, we'll say hi. So you can meet, because you haven't met her.
Right.
Because she's been out there.
So. Okay, so you did tell her to come to the hotel potentially?
Yeah, I told her. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because it might come down to that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's just jam packed. As soon as we get there, I think they might even be doing like a dinner with all the presenters and stuff to like meet, before the big day, because we all get in on Thursday, but the conference starts on Friday, so it's literally like, okay, now it's go time.
Yeah.
And then, the lunches come, and a lot of them, they're catered in so that you don't have to leave or anything. At least I think they are. I assume they are. They were last time. And then, dinner, a lot of times you go with a friend, or you go with a crew that you've been hanging out with for the day. And then after the dinner, then we do what was laser after dark, lasers after dark. And, we talked to the conference after dark or whatever. And we all just like hung out, wherever we could and just talked about the day or life.
I'll be calling you when I finish ingesting all the video that I've taken the whole day and put it into the computer. Then I'll be like, hey, where are you guys at?
Yeah. Yep. And I'll already have a drink or two in, and then you got to wake up and do it all again the next day at 9 o'clock. I don't even know what time they start. And we're not morning people, so it's gonna be.
Can't even sleep in when we go on.
No, I know honestly that's kind of the worst part.
Whatever,
we can sleep in Monday,
it's still
maybe.
Gonna be fun.
Yeah, no, it's totally worth it.
Yeah,
it was totally worth it for me.
Yeah.
I went to bed, super late each time and woke up early and had a lot of coffee.
I won't have FOMO this time.
Right.
Sitting at home with the kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
missing stuff.
Yep. It's going to be fun. So they'll be missing us and we'll be missing them. But you won't be having FOMO of the conference.
Right.
So, and everyone will get to meet John
in person.
Yeah. You've kind of just been the
podcast guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And now he's the
voice,
podcast,
if you're only listening.
the podcast guy, and now the editing guy.
Yeah, the media guy. So yeah, stop. Say hi if you see me with the camera. Don't feel.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, don't be scared. I might look intimidating, but I'm not.
He's really
I'm
not.
not. I'm a big teddy bear.
He's not scary.
No, not at all.
Sometimes.
I can be, but I'm not like.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I'm not gonna be there. I might be scary there. So just come on, say hi. Love the podcast. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, like and subscribe. Smash that like button. She loves that part. And it's been another great episode of the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John. And she's gonna take a nap.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed.
Good night.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done.